Okay, so what do we do? So in the beginning of my career, I would have answered that question. Well, we're a sales and customer acquisition company for Fortune 500 businesses, and we really create win-win-wins. You know, win for the client, a win for the customer, and a win for us. I don't think that was such a bad answer, but then as I matured and grew and started understanding the business a bit better, I morphed my answer. So my answer then changed to, well, I'm a teacher, I'm a leader, I teach sales, I teach leadership, I teach entrepreneurship. I help young go-getters get into business for themselves. And so I think you guys probably like that answer too. So as I was maturing in the business, I'm like, okay, I'm feeling good about what I'm doing. I like what I do. I remember telling my parents, I always wanted to be a school teacher, and I really felt like I'm at home. This is what I'm called to do, to be a teacher. And of course, my parents were like, yeah, you don't want to be a school teacher. Son, I'm a school teacher. If you haven't been paying attention, I don't have any money. You might want to try something different. So I'm like, okay, let me try something different. And so this business really appealed to me, but I still struggled in building a team. And what I didn't realize is I had a paradigm, a thought pattern that needed to be challenged. And my thought pattern was this, that it's ownership or bust, it's ownership or failure. That people coming into my business, I've got to get them into business for themselves, otherwise I failed. That was my paradigm. And so again, I didn't realize that it needed to be challenged, but there were two things that challenged this paradigm. Okay? One of them is I was introduced to John Wooden. Now, I didn't personally meet John Wooden, but he kept popping up at all these seminars I was going to in Los Angeles. All these John Maxwell seminars in particular. I mean, he always had Coach Wooden there. Now, if you don't know who Coach Wooden is, John Wooden, you just Google John Wooden, you'll see his claim to fame. He's the Wizard of Westwood. He was the coach of the UCLA men's basketball team back in their glory days. And again, when you go through Google, like, wow, this guy won 10 championships in a 12-year span. This guy's pretty good, like the Nick Saban of today. I mean, obviously you don't have any players sticking with you for 12 years. Some of you might say, well, I did college for 12 years, but you know, not at UCLA. And so you're always rotating people. There's always new people coming in. So that's quite an accomplishment to say you won 10 championships in a 12-year span. Well, when you keep reading the Google information on Wooden, I mean, how long did he coach at UCLA? Well, he had a 27-year career. Okay, rough math tells me if your last 12 years you got 10 championships, you had 15 other years. You know, let's talk about that. Let's read through the stats. Oh, 0 championships in the first 15 years at UCLA. So was he really adding value to his players? I mean, was that a waste of time, those first 15 years? I don't think so. At the seminars that John would speak at, I mean, this guy was so smooth you could hear a pin drop. Like when he talked, everybody listened. And so we were just very intrigued on, okay, who is this guy? What is he teaching? And so on the outside, his job was to teach basketball. Obviously, UCLA hired him. Listen, we want you to win. We want a winning record. And your job description is to teach these young men how to play basketball. But on the inside, John was more concerned with the development of the whole person. You know, and Sam just went through this, the mental, physical, spiritual, emotional, health of his players. And some of the players would join him on stage. I remember Bill Walton in particular would go around with John Wooden. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was one of his students as well too. And these guys would say, and this rocked my world, they would say that they learned more about marriage and how to treat a lady from Coach Wooden than they ever learned about basketball. And I'm like, again, UCLA didn't hire you to be a marriage counselor to these young men. UCLA hired you to teach these kids basketball. So I tried Googling these stats. I'm like, what % of John Wooden's players went pro? And I couldn't find the statistic. And maybe some of you can and get back to me. But I'm going to be generous and say that, let's say 5% of John Wooden's players went to the NBA. And again, I think it's generous, probably 3%, maybe 4%, maybe less, I don't know. But what coach wouldn't say, listen, hey, 95% of your players did not go pro, would he look at that as a failure? Probably not. Should my paradigm be challenged? Like I'm looking at it like I got to get my people into ownership or I'm dropping the ball. Is that how Coach Wooden would look at his role if he was in my shoes? Not a chance. The other thing that challenged my paradigm is I had quite a few ex-reps reach out to me, okay? This is always interesting when an ex-rep reaches out. It's like, oh, you know, what does the ex-rep want, right? And they would thank me for the experience. And my initial impression when I'd get either this note or an email, text, whatever it may be, I'd be like, what are you thanking me for? We didn't accomplish what we set out to do. I failed you. You know, I didn't get you to cross the line into ownership. And so that was my initial paradigm. But again, more and more of these notes kept coming in. I want to read the latest one to you, okay? I cherish these. I mean, I've moved around a few times over the last couple of years, and the kids all know that the most important thing to me as I'm traveling is this box of letters that I keep. If any of you send me a letter, I'll keep it, okay? So you just know that, right? And I keep these notes. I keep these letters. This is from Leanne Long in Baltimore. I just got this last week. She says, I wanted to take the time to thank you for creating content for young entrepreneurs. I worked with your team for about 3 years, but left almost 2 years ago. Currently, I do medical device sales, and I still watch your videos. One thing that has stuck with me is that you mentioned your business as a great career starter. That's exactly what it was for me. Since then, I've worked with hundreds of sales reps, managers, and now physicians. You guys truly have some of the sharpest and most influential people I have ever worked with. I am grateful for my experience with them. It was letters like this that helped me come to terms that I'm offering a rich experience to everyone, not just the people that become owners in the company. And so we're going to break into an exercise here. And here's the exercise before I tell you how this little workshop is going to go down. I want you to answer 2 questions in this exercise. It's just groups of 2. You're already starting to look at each other, okay? 2 questions. The first question I have for you is, if working with you really is a rich experience, describe the education that you're offering. Another way to look at it is, what are the classes or what are the majors that people will learn when working with you? Recruiting, how to have an eye for talent. You come in with a resume and says, hey, I've learned how to sell. Oh, that's good. You know how to sell. I've learned how to recruit. I know how to cherry pick great talent. Well, those 2 things right off the bat, you've increased your value by learning how to do those 2 things. What about leadership? Right? John Maxwell has the largest real estate section in Barnes and Nobles, and his topic, the only thing he writes books about, is the topic of leadership. And if you're proficient in leadership, that's got to present some serious value, does it not? Developing and teaching. You're learning how to be a teacher. I put on here charity. I mean, I like doing charity events. When Sam was talking about the physical, mental, social, I've always kind of thought to myself, hey, what can I do to help the people that I work with develop their spiritual muscles? And I'm like, well, let's go serve the community. Regardless of your religious background, I think we can all buy into doing something like that. And every time we do something like that, everybody feels great about themselves because we did something good for the community. So I'm like, oh, we can put that as part of the value add as well too. Right? Learning how to be proficient in raising money for charities. I mean, we've raised millions of dollars for Operation Smile. I don't know if you guys know that. Like millions. We have funded mission trips all around the world with our fundraising abilities. Like, we're really good at this. I put on here business. I'm just going to teach you business. Revenues minus expenses equals profit. You guys all run a balance sheet in your household. You all run a P&L statement, a profit and loss statement. We're going to teach you, because the guy comes in, oh, I don't know if I can work on commission. Let me teach you how this thing works. There's revenue, there's expenses, and the rest is profit. Let me teach you this stuff. Wealth creation, financial priorities and investments. World-class coaching I put on here as well too. Franklin Covey focus, which is what Sam just taught you. Situational leadership, crucial conversations. DISC, personal or personality assessment. I mean, there's a lot of things you can grab that you're learning in the business. Again, DISC, have you guys all done DISC? Right, well, and you can do that with your people. You can do it, it doesn't cost you any money. You can do the Tony Robbins version of DISC assessment. It's an online free assessment you can do, and you can walk people through that. Again, just add all this stuff up, and the question is, what's the value of what this rich experience looks like? In my opinion, it is a rich, rich experience. This is why people are emailing and writing notes on thank you for this experience. And that was the paradigm shift that I needed to really put my feet in the ground and grow some roots. Like, you know what? I'm doing everybody a favor here. Everybody coming into my business, whether it's for a short window of time, a long period of time, I'm doing them a huge favor in this business. And I really started to feel great about what I was doing. And then the team building had begun. Now here's the second question, because I told you I've got two questions. You're going to have to find a new partner for question number 2. And question number 2 is, what exactly are you bringing to the table? In other words, what value do you personally bring? Now, before I thought through this, my answer would have been, well, I bring a relationship. I do breakfast, dinners, and team nights all the time with my guys, but I mean, do people really need to work here to get a relationship, to get a friendship? Like, they can kind of get that anywhere. So I don't think that's enough of an answer. I'm not saying that we should discount that. I'm saying, is that enough value to bring to the table? So grab a different partner and answer that question. What value do you bring to the table? Financial fitness is one of my answers. Okay, I'm going to teach you to be financial. I want people to be wealthy. And so I'll teach you to run a mean profit and loss statement personally and when you become an owner in business. It's not about how much you make, it's about how much you save, and can you invest, and can you get into real estate and all this other stuff. I mean, I feel I bring that to the table. Character and values development. I'm kind of obsessed with this. As Sam is, talking through this, I mean, all of this starts with, hey, what are your values? I ask that question a lot because you do whatever you value the most. So let's ask ourselves, what do we value? So that's one of my values I like to bring to the table. I like to tell people, listen, I'm an ambitious leader. Okay, like I'm going places. I'm not going to be stuck doing the same thing. I'm moving up, and I'm very motivated to teach and help others come up with me as well too. I've had people ask me to my face, like, well, Jamie, listen, I've got an interview with Google. Okay, I mean, I'm listening to what you're offering, and it sounds like I know you said it's based on performance. My guess is around 30 grand a year, and Google's offering me about 100 grand a year. Why should I work with you? And that was my answer. You're working hands-on with the owner of the company. Okay, I'm in the show business. I'm not in the tell business. I'm going to lead by example, and I'm an ambitious leader that's motivated to see people level up as well too. And that person said no to Google and yes to me. Priority and time management, you guys already nailed that. And the one I did add, I kind of figured it'd be a trick question the way I framed it. Like, what do you bring to the table? I bring relationship and mentorship. I've asked this question to a lot of people, like, hey, who's your mentor? And most times I get a deer in headlights looking at me like, what do you mean, who's my mentor? Well, who's your mentor? I don't have a mentor. I haven't thought about it. Well, maybe you should think about it. I mean, whatever job my kids do, the first task at hand is find a mentor. Find somebody who is terrific at that job. Find somebody in the top 5% and become the world's greatest student of that person, and that person is your mentor. Ask them what they drink in their coffee. Bring them that coffee every day to get in front of them. Be a student of a great mentor. Okay, but these two questions that I'm asking you are questions that I would hope that you guys can obsess about. Because one of the answers to the question like, well, what do? We, you, me, bring a rich experience. And I think we should define that experience. Because whether people ask you or not, well, why should I work with you? They are asking that question as you're interviewing them. even though it might not be that blunt. I appreciate the bluntness. But you have to be able to articulate what you personally are bringing to the table, the value you add, and the value that this whole industry adds to people. You have to know how to articulate that. All right, Bo, you can grab a seat now. That's all the writing. The other side of the equation, okay, or the other side of the coin, right? So we offer, what do? We offer a rich experience. Well, we obviously also add a real career opportunity. I mean, I'd be a fool if I got up here and just talked experience. This is such a rich experience, if I didn't address this piece. Now, this is kind of an interesting story. There's a good tell in this. Years ago, I'm running a similar kind of rich experience workshop, and John Wiggins happened to be listening to the speech. And he came up to me afterwards. Jamie, I'm really confused because that, you know, when I came into the business as a 19-year-old, right? He was a young guy when he comes into the business. I had my first opportunity meeting where they broke down the structure of the business, and I knew I could do this, and I decided to go all the way. And that might be the reason why John went all the way. This wasn't going to be a rich experience for John. He didn't look at this like, oh boy, I could really build my resume from this experience. He looked at the career opportunity here and said, dude, I'm going to get rich at this thing. And he's made tens of millions of dollars in this business. Now, some wild stats that we all feel great about. As a rep, you can make 6 figures in the field. We have over 30 people in 2023 that made 6 figures or better. Jake was, I think, almost one of those guys. Your W-2, I think, was slightly under $100,000. But reps coming in the business can make 6 figures. Okay? Owners running an ICL can make $1 million running an ICL without any outside deals. I know 2 guys in particular last year that made 7 figures running one office. And as a promoting owner and as a consultant, you earn override income. I mean, so let's call a fact a fact. I mean, this is a rich career opportunity as well, too. So back to the question of, okay, so what do we do? I think the short answer is all of the above. I think, 1, we offer a rich experience. I mean, the way I articulate this, we are positive forces in the lives of people we interact with daily, and we should feel great about that. And we just did this exercise, and again, I want your hamsters running. You should feel great about what you do. You are really offering a rich experience. You're changing people's lives. 2 is we have an awesome career path for those that choose to make this their career path. And the 3rd is, I was right at the beginning, we have monstrous win-win-wins in this business. From the customer perspective, 94% of our customers want us to come back and sell them something different. I didn't get enough of you. Come back, sell me something completely unrelated to what you're selling right now. I mean, that's crazy. That's a big business opportunity we're sitting on right now, that 94% of our customers want us to come back and sell something different. So it's obviously a win for the customer. It's a win for the client. We don't have one client that wants less of us. Hey, we want to decrease our budget with you guys. No, we want to give you guys more. The gripe that the clients have is we're not big enough. We want more of you. Hurry up. You're going too slow with this whole leadership development stuff. We bring profitable, sticky customers to the clients. They want more of this. And it's a win for us. We're in a growing business, in a growing industry that smells like a recipe for growth for you and me. So that's what we do.